Hello, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com, and you cannot walk 3 inches without someone saying empathy. Just have empathy. Create empathy. Run a workshop and foster empathy. Our company has empathy. We're building empathy. Empathy, empathy, empathy. What is empathy? Well, let's start with the definition of it based on the American Psychological Association. And they say, empathy is understanding a person from his or her frame of reference rather than one's own, or vicariously experiencing that person's feelings, perceptions, and thoughts. So let's stop there. We've got 2 types of empathy. There is cognitive empathy, which is I know that person so well that I can really understand them from their frame of reference. It's what we really mean when we say walk a mile in someone's shoes or see the world through their eyes. So we want to make sure that we are not seeing their world through our eyes or putting our biases and lenses on their experiences. True empathy is truly seeing someone else's world through their eyes, their frame of reference, and completely excluding yourself. That's considered cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy fits the second definition that we just heard, vicariously experiencing that person's feelings, perceptions, and thoughts. This feels a little woo-woo for many people, but I know it's real because it's something I do experience at times. If you experience it too, you know it's real. The problem is that so many people don't have empathy out there. They just don't have it. I find that some people naturally have little or none. So people have started messing with the definition of empathy so that they could say they have empathy. Now you'll hear empathy described as thinking about users or keeping the users in mind or in heart. We're kind of getting away from empathy at that point. Maybe this is sympathy, but it's definitely not empathy. And I saw someone else say that it's not empathy. Empathy is an emotional contagion. The American Psychological Association defines emotional contagion as the rapid spread of an emotion from one or a few individuals to others. For example, fear of catching a disease can spread rapidly through a community. So it's not really related to empathy. So disregard the person I won't name who says that. So now that we're thinking about what empathy really means, we have to take another step back and say, well, can we create empathy? Can we run a workshop or do an exercise where we make other people at our workplace have more empathy? The reality is that we generally can't. We can certainly run exercises, but we can't make people have more empathy. If you're not sure, find a racist person and see if you can bring out their empathy. See if you can get them to do a better job seeing other people's experiences through those people's eyes and not through their own. Do I need to say more? In general, empathy cannot be created. You might be able to drum up some sympathy from someone temporarily, but you cannot create empathy. It's hard to create in yourself, and it's nearly impossible to create in others. So that means all of these books and workshops and exercises that say create empathy, have empathy, build empathy, show empathy, they don't really have the right definition of empathy. And without the right definition of empathy, they really start to undo themselves. You don't really need me out here to undo it. You're undoing yourself by having step 1, create empathy. If you can't interrupt me, it's not a step. So to wrap this up in a shorter amount of time, just as a reminder, don't fall for the nouveau definitions of empathy. Empathy has proper and appropriate definitions, as we've heard from the American Psychological Association. We should not be making up new definitions of empathy so we can try to say everybody has empathy, everybody can create empathy. This just isn't true, and redefining it isn't going to help us. And to say, oh yes, we just need to have more empathy, and how to have more empathy. I haven't seen it done, and from what I understand, and from interviewing psychologists who comes on our podcast a lot, You would really have to do a lot of self-study and self-searching and probably a lot of therapy work to improve your empathy. So in short, empathy might not be what you thought it was. So you might have to be careful how you use that word and be careful of a lot of these workshops and exercises that say, let's go create empathy from our teammates. We all know teammates who don't give a crap about the user. They just don't. We're not going to create empathy there. So be careful of all this empathy junk that's being thrown around. Don't get sucked in. On that note, won't you please subscribe? And of course, if you do have empathy, show it for the like button. Of course, I'm using the wrong definition of empathy, but it's fun. Press the like button, let the YouTube algorithm know you like videos like this, and please do subscribe to the Delta CX YouTube channel and go through the archives. I think you'll like some of our old videos also about empathy. Thanks, and see you in the next video.